Hey, what's up, guys? It has been a hot minute since I did a knife review, and I do want to apologize for that. Life's been crazy. I've been sick. A bunch of other things have popped up, yada yada. But alas, we are here, and today we are going to review the Vosteed Shilin with Ocean Micarta Scales and 154 cm Dune Wash. I believe it's Dune Wash or Dune Coated Blade, Copper Coated Blade. Let's see here. Yeah, I guess it's just Copper Dune Blade. So, first and foremost, I have to say, I have to give Vosteed the credit because I have, man, probably three, something like that at this point. And Vosteed doesn't disappoint. Vosteed's just one of those brands that makes bangers. Personally, I have yet to find a knife from them where I'm like, this kind of missed the mark for X, Y, and Z, whatever. I always try and maintain a very non-biased perspective on all knife brands, whether I really like them or I don't. I like all brands equally, and that also comes with the fact of, like, there are a lot of brands that I really love that make okay knives, and a lot of brands I really love that make great knives. So it really just comes down to the product itself. But some brands just have a better reputation of working outside the box, being innovative, thinking about the consumer, thinking about materials, and also price points, right? We're getting to the point in the EDC world where materials for items are becoming increasingly easier to get at the moment. Granted, the current political climate is changing. I'm sure it's going to be changing that, or changing that in general. But anyway, so, something that you would pay, something that's, USA made, small batch, whatever, you're going to be paying, 2 to 4 times, or should say 2 to 5 times more than what you'd be for something that's coming out of China, Taiwan, Europe, etc. Now, that being said, obviously China, they're killing it in the knife world. There are so many brands that are becoming established that people haven't heard before, or people haven't heard of before, that are rivaling what American makers are making. And I'm not saying this to generate any kind of controversial statements or anything. I'm creating a monologue for you guys to understand where I'm coming from for Vosteed. Vosteed is just, right now, in my opinion, one of those brands that just continuously delivers top-notch quality. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but they are just incredible. So I have a few knives. I will say this: I have one knife of theirs, the Anklio. It's probably one of my favorite knives that I have. I can't currently use it because of the pivot system is really gunked up, and so I bought skiff bearings. And I was going to make a video of me just installing the skiff bearings on it. I haven't done that yet. The skiff bearings are still sitting in the bubble wrap packaging that I got them in. But there's something about the Anklio that the pivot system that really bothered me. So at some point I'm going to have to cover that in a video. But alas, back to this. It's Vosteed Shilin, 154 cm Copper Dune Blade, Ocean Micarta Scales. It's got an Ocean Micarta backspacer as well. I definitely like that. It's a cool touch. I will say that it would have been interesting for them to do a copper backspacer as an accent for the blade, but either way, very cool. Non-reversible pocket clip, so for some people that might be a deal breaker. It's got this really cool, I don't know what this blade shape would technically. I would consider it a spear point, but everybody's different. But it's got this really nice flat grind, full blade belly. This is also a knife made for fidgeting. If you are looking for a fidget knife, I would say look no further than this. Vosteed is known for inventing mechanisms for fidgeting. There's another. I have it somewhere. I don't know what I do with it. It's another Vosteed that was specifically designed for you to be able to fidget with it. It was just the way the pivot system is designed and the way the blade is designed balance wise. But anyway, this is an anchor lock as well. So this is also a button lock. So this is also where this is the pivot and the button. First and foremost, multiple deployment methods. So you have a flipper tab, you have a front roll, which you can front roll with your, as I messed that up, you can front roll with your index finger, or you can just front roll it with your thumb. Both very fidgety. There's also thumb studs that allow you to reverse flick or forward flick, whatever, thumb flick, whatever you want to call it. Detent on this, scale of 1 to 10, 10 being like incredibly ridiculous, impossible, and 1 being, it feels like there's almost no detent there whatsoever. I would say it's probably a 3. I think it's in that perfect middle ground where you can feel it lock up, but the detent doesn't inhibit you from reverse flicking, which I think is fantastic. So multiple deployment methods. It's a button lock, so you have 1, 2, 3, 4 deployment methods because it's also a button lock. So that's awesome. So from a fidget standpoint, already sold on that. Very unique blade shape. This is also 154 cm. 154 cm is a stainless steel. I would say it's like mid-grade, premium. I'd say it's like mid-ground premium steel. Let's see what else. It's got crazy jimping. I love when manufacturers go with a good amount of jimping and just ergonomics, because I would have liked to see a little bit of maybe jimping up further here, especially for doing because you have this choke up spot here. Maybe having some jimping here where you could really dig into something. That would have been cool, but not really a huge setback in that regard. I love it when there's thought put into where the jimping should be, and you get a lot of it up here. That's a lot of jimping, and then you get a lot of jimping down here. Don't need any here, but there is a little bit to catch your finger on this thumb roll. This knife is, I want to say, I think 8.5 inches fully deployed, roughly. The micarta is really thick. I want to say that's probably 3 or 4 mil micarta. I'm usually not a big fan of micarta, but I really love how this Ocean Micarta looks. I love how Vosteed does their micarta. It's not just something bland and boring. It's got layers, it's got character, and then when you add texturing to it or other ergo features to it, it just gives it even more personality. Let's see what else. Obviously no reversible pocket clip, I mentioned that. It's very comfortable in the hand. I have a very big hand, very comfortable for me. So if you have smaller hands, I can only imagine that this will be incredibly comfortable for you. It doesn't feel like I'm being forced ergonomically to choke up on it. Some knives I feel like when they're open you have to fully choke up, otherwise it just, the way the handle and the general design of the knife has been made, it just feels awkward. This does not feel like that. Very comfortable, very ergonomic. The micarta scales are grippy. They are smooth, but they do have texture, so that you do get some good grip from them. And it's very snappy. Let's see, any negatives? I would say, obviously, non-reversible pocket clip. For some people that's a deal breaker. I definitely think I would have liked to see a copper dune backspacer. I do like the fact that they did a micarta backspacer to carry on the general design aesthetic from the scales, but I think having something that offsets the blade as well, so you have two complementary colors going on, I think that would have been really cool. Or I should say two complementary aspects, not colors. That would have been cool. Not really negative per se. A little bit of jumping up further on the blade, maybe even up here, so if you're doing like really really tight minuscule tasks, you have something to hold on to, but it's not a deal breaker. I don't know. I will say this. So the Anklio I have has an anchor lock. I don't know how many cycles of fidgeting with this you can go through before you have to take this apart and maintenance it. From what it looks like, there are obviously bearings in there. Copper, I think, or those copper cage bearings, maybe brass cage bearings, something like that. So it's on a good pivot system. So I don't know. For all I know, this doesn't have the same sound issue that my Anklio had when I'm opening it. It doesn't sound like metal grinding on it. Doesn't sound like washers, if that makes sense. If you know what washers sound like, it sounds like every time you open the blade up, the pivot system feels like it's hanging or like just grinding on something. This doesn't have that sound. It's very smooth. But it could also be the fact that the way the knife is designed, the harmonics are slightly different for when you're opening and closing it compared to the Anklio. So I don't know. Overall, very fidgety. This is probably one of my favorite Vosteeds. This isn't mine. I don't have a personal one. But I think if I were going to own, if I could go back and start over and own any Vosteed, I think this would probably be the one I'd pick up. Purely just for fidgetability, aesthetic, and materials. Now this map on these is $102. That's probably roughly like what you'll find them for online, maybe a little bit more. I don't know what retail is. My guess off the top of my head would probably be like between 120 and 150, I'm assuming. But you're probably never gonna pay retail, considering how many online knife distributors there are and the fact that all of them are obviously trying to give you the best deal possible. So my guess is you're going to pay somewhere around the 102 range, like 110, 102, something like that. Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. I would highly recommend this knife if you're looking for a Vosteed and you're looking for something that's really fidgetable. And something that you want to carry every day. This knife isn't very heavy. It does have weight to it, but it doesn't feel imposing or like it's gonna weigh you down if you have to, run after something. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like it has this like substantial tank presence, but it does feel like it's there, if that makes sense. And I definitely love, I will say, I always love knives that have thicker portions of materials versus thinner portions of materials. Like that blade stock is probably, what, 2.5, 3 mil? Something like that. I love that. I like when the knives, when the products feel substantial and they have a substantial amount of material. They just feel more reliable. I know some people probably might feel differently about that. It might feel heavy in their pocket, or just you're just not a huge fan of it, whatever it may be. Another thing too that I'm noticing, I actually wasn't really paying attention, was the stop pins. You might actually be able to adjust the detent even more based off the stop pin. So if you want this to be tighter, you can just tighten it up. If you want it to be looser, you could loosen it up. You could adjust the detent that way. So it never even dawned on me until I was just looking at it. So I think that's pretty cool. Very cool knife, man. Yeah, yeah. I think that is, Yeah, has to be one of my favorite knives. Absolutely would recommend anybody who's looking for a new EDC or is looking to add to their collection. I 100% think that this is a knife worth picking up, especially from Vosteed. Vosteed will not steer you wrong in the products that they offer, and the quality of materials you're getting, the fit and finish. You can't go wrong. You really can't. Yeah, trying to think if I missed anything. They haven't missed the mark, at least in my opinion. I'm sure that there's probably a knife out there somewhere that is like, whoa, like what were you thinking? And I'm obviously having issues with my Ankleo, but that could be for a multitude of reasons. So I'll have to dissect that on my own and then share what I found. Why not once I do? So that's it, guys. That's the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I should also point out that 154 cm, for you to get 154 cm under 150 bucks is a crazy deal, just considering how good of a steel it is. I mean, it's not, it's not like S45 or S90 or Magna Cut or M390, anything like that, but it's still like a mid-premium. I would consider it like a middle tier premium steel. It offers a lot, and you really can't go wrong with it. So being able to get a knife with 154 cm for under 150 bucks is, I think, a crazy good deal, especially with everything that this has to offer. So yeah, that is it. That's the review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Apologies for how long it took me to get a review up. Lots been going on, but anyway, next review I will be reviewing the Spyderco Dragonfly. I have a personal one. I just decided to crack it out of the package. It's been sitting in a box for the last like 4 months, 3 months, something like that. So we will review that and I'll give you guys my thoughts on it. So yeah, have a good one, dudes. Take care, stay hydrated, eat some good food, be kind to yourself, be safe.